Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, the Prime Minister has summoned the judgment of history in her latest bid to convince her rebellious MPs to back her Brexit deal. She's written a letter telling them now is the time for compromise. Her pitch comes as she prepares to head back to Europe in the coming days to see if she can win any concessions there. Here's our economics correspondent, Elliot Ebrahimi.
The Prime Minister must hope that the pen is mightier than the sword. In a letter to 316 Conservative MPs, Theresa May wrote a stark warning that history will judge us all for the parts we've played in this process. And in a pointed attack, maybe especially at her Brexiteer readers, she added that a failure to make compromises would let down the people who sent us here to represent them. And finally, bidding to invoke a wartime spirit, she told her colleagues they must sacrifice personal preferences in the higher service of the national interest. But will the Prime Minister's prose be enough to persuade her opponents?
She's really appealing to both sides to try to peel off MPs, Conservative MPs from both wings, the ones who've given her recent rebuffs, and say, look, we really don't have many chances at all to get a deal through, and you're going to have to compromise, and history will judge us. It may persuade some on either side, but it's not just the words of the letter and her appeal, it's also the passage of time.
How will history write up Theresa May?
If Theresa May manages to get a deal through, people may look at her as a master politician. History gives a lot of credit to success, and if she gets that through, people will change their view.
And if she doesn't?
Well, if she doesn't, then she will look like a failure.
The Prime Minister has racked up 24 meetings, summits and chats with Europe's leaders since triggering Article 50. But she's also chalked up 39 House of Commons defeats, including 12 embarrassing Brexit failures, more than any other Prime Minister in history. In the letter, Mrs May took pains to list 18 out of 27 European leaders who she is connected with in recent days, while laying out her plans to meet Jean-Claude Juncker this week. Hopefully a more positive encounter than this one. He had called her nebulous, and she collared him over it.
I think it is unlikely we'll get very much movement from the European Union. They've been absolutely consistent about this, in fact, very much holding together as a bloc, more than British negotiators really expected. They've certainly given her some signs that they can tinker with the language, but they're not going to do anything significant, and it'd be a mistake to expect that.
The government's inability to take control of the Brexit process has continued to leave the economy stumbling. Regional airline Flybe shut down last night, putting 376 jobs at risk after it said it had been hurt by Brexit uncertainty, which had hit confidence and cost valuable contracts in Europe. History may also have some interesting comments on some of the prominent businessmen who campaigned for Brexit. Today, it was reported that UK's richest man, Sir Jim Ratcliffe of chemicals giant Ineos, was looking to move to Monaco to reduce his tax exposure, though the company says it always abides by tax rules. Another Brexiteer who has been in the news for choosing to move is Sir James Dyson, the UK's most famous inventor, who's transferring his company's headquarters to Singapore. The write-up by history on British democracy may be that currently it's fallen into a state of disrepair. And yet the Prime Minister's message has steadfastly been that Brexit will all work out for the best. Given the divisions and lack of compromise, that may prove to be a Panglossian take too far.
Elliot Ebrahimi there.
I've been getting away with it.